Hey, welcome back to another video with me. Today we're going to be talking about things that I learned in 2022 about fitness and my fitness journey. A few of the topics that we're going to hit are holding myself accountable, how I did that, and what I was doing before. That cardio isn't superior, contrary to popular opinion. That prioritizing nutrition is very important. That growth sometimes isn't linear. That I had to give myself grace. Investing in myself had to become a priority. And one of my top favorites is the term toned and what that really means. So starting off with the first topic, which is holding myself accountable. I had to learn to stop making excuses. All the time I would find myself finding reasons not to go to the gym, not to eat proper foods. I was finding reasons to just not do the things that I had set as maybe a standard or as something that I was striving to do. I constantly came up with excuses as to why I didn't need to or shouldn't. And that was only hindering my progress. I kind of had to tell myself, if I have time to sit around on my phone and scroll social media, then I have time to be in the gym. If I have time to just sit on the couch and do nothing, while I recognize that relaxing is an important part of a healthy lifestyle, sitting mindlessly scrolling on social media isn't, and that I could be spending some of that time in those hours at the gym, benefiting my health and fitness and limiting my time on social media. And that in turn is beneficial for my mental health as well as my physical health. I knew that I would feel better after I worked out. So by holding myself accountable, just going and getting it done, I knew that I would end up feeling better. Consistency is key in this. So going to the gym one time a week, if that's all you can do, great. For me, I was 1 week going 1 day, the next week going 5 days, the next 2 weeks going 6 days, and then I would just burn myself out, and it was so unreliable. I couldn't even rely on myself to be consistent, so I had to make a change, be accountable to myself, and say, hey, you need to commit to a specific number of days, whether that's 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, you need to be consistent. And putting all those things together, I was able to learn where I was lacking and how holding myself accountable was beneficial, because once I started getting a routine down and started holding myself to the standards that I had set, I finally started seeing results. Another one of my favorites, cardio. There's so much misinformation about cardio. I find, especially as a female in the fitness world, there is so much misinformation out there. And cardio is a big one. So I was under the impression that I needed to run. If I wanted to be fit, if I wanted to feel good in my body, running was the way I was going to achieve that. Everybody said, you need to run, you need to run, you need to run. Amongst other things that are false, running is also one of them. Just because you run does not mean that you will lose weight. You could do that, but if you don't enjoy running, you don't need to be running. And listen, I'm not a cardio loving gal. I don't particularly love running, but would I get on a treadmill and run a mile before every workout? Yeah. Was that necessary? No. But I was doing it. I was doing it over and over again, going to the gym, and then I'd run a mile. And then I think that led to why I didn't want to go to the gym, because I was dreading going to the gym to run a mile when I hate running. Now, mind you, if you like running and that's something fun for you, keep doing it. Keep running. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's other cardio means that could fit your life better. There's classes you could take, there's spin, you could do an elliptical, you could do, honestly, just walking at a decent incline, you get your heart rate elevated. The point is just to improve your cardiovascular health. You don't need to be running for that. You want to just get your heart rate accelerated into that next heart rate zone. So at the start of 2022, I was running like almost a mile before every workout. And I thought that's the way I was going to see results. Now, moving into 2023, I walk for about 10 minutes before my workout. And that's the only cardio that I do. It elevates my heart rate, it gets me ready for my workout, and that's it. Prioritizing nutrition. Now this one is tricky because I lacked a lot of nutrition knowledge going into 2022. I knew, Generally speaking, you should try to get your nutrition from whole foods, not supplement. Obviously, fried foods and highly processed foods are notoriously bad for you, but I didn't know much about anything else. I didn't realize how drastically it would affect how I feel, how my mood is, the amount of energy I have to expend in the gym or just existing in life. So I learned that protein is going to be a priority. So I put protein on my plate first and then add the rest. So all of my meals are kind of centered around protein, whereas before I was a big carb gal. Love carbs. Any type of carb, you name it, I'll eat it. Potatoes in any form, my jam. So it's not that I cut those out, I just started prioritizing the protein instead of the carb first. Carbs are important, don't skip them, but prioritizing protein is huge. I started making choices to get my food from whole foods rather than a lot of processed foods. Now, a lot of foods we eat are processed. I decided that I needed to start getting most of my food from whole foods that I would then cook into a recipe, or Chelsea would cook. Shout out to Chelsea because she do be the MVP. But just choosing foods that weren't already cooked or preserved and they were more in their like natural state, and then putting them into recipes and eating them that way, big change for me. A lot of times toward the beginning of 2022, when I was starting to adapt how I was eating and what I was eating, I wouldn't say that I was eating out a lot, but I was eating out a decent amount, and I didn't realize that it was affecting my body as much. And then once, like toward the end of 2022, when I was cutting out those extra fried, extra processed fast food meals, I realized how dramatically that was affecting me. So it would make me lethargic. I would get bloated. My energy would be really lacking, and I didn't realize that that was directly correlated to what I was ingesting until I was eating less of it, and I could sort of narrow down what the possible issue was, and it was definitely diet related. Also, when you eat out, it's hard to know exactly what's going into your body because most restaurants and dining places put other things into the food that you don't exactly see on the menu, as far as cooking oils and stuff like that. You're consuming calories that you didn't know you were consuming. I really modified my way of thinking about food, and that food is not the enemy. Food is a great source of nutrition and energy, and it should not be so negative. Our thought around it shouldn't be so negative. It should be much more positive. And so I've had to sort of switch that up for myself, because before I was just assuming that I needed to eat less food or all the misinformation out there. But instead of demonizing the food that I was eating, I just needed to make better choices surrounding the food that I was eating. And the craziest thing was that I started the year under eating, but I didn't know. So I thought I was fueling my body, and I was not. When I hired my coach, I started tracking macros, and just by starting that tracking process, I realized how inconsistent I was eating. Some days I would be eating like 1,900 calories, and some days I would be eating like 1,300 calories, 1,400 calories, and I was just all over the place, which is really hard for your metabolism to try to be on top of, because it was so inconsistent, and the food I was eating was so inconsistent. I was just all over the place. So by bringing some consistency in what I was eating, more routine meals, and eating much more structured as far as hitting my macros every single day, that changed a lot. And now I'm eating way more than I was before, but my body recomp toward the end of this year has been insane. Growth. Yeah. So sometimes often we expect our growth to be linear, right? We start something and then we expect to see results instantly. And once we see a result, proceed on that same rate of progress. Unfortunately, that's not always how it works. Especially being a female, certain times of the month, our hormones are fluctuating a lot. So bloating is naturally going to occur, which means your measurements are naturally going to change. Your scale weight is going to change. So you have to sort of just be okay with seeing those changes and understanding that sometimes it'll be a little off, and it doesn't have anything to do with you not following something to a T, or you skipping one gym session, or having one free meal. Sometimes it has a lot to do with just your body's natural cycle. I guess you just sort of can't assume that every time you go into the gym that you're going to have the best workout of your life and you're going to max every time you go in there. Some days you'll go in and it'll feel amazing and you'll hit PRs and you'll come out of there feeling so proud. And then sometimes you'll go in and it'll just be like a mundane, it'll be just like an average day. You hit normal weights, or maybe you had to drop a couple of weights, and getting in there is the whole point, right? We're getting to the gym, we're making the most of what we have that day. So some days I would feel amazing and some days I would feel not as good. I was really hard on myself on the days that I didn't feel as good, and just, why aren't you pushing the weight you were before? What did you do wrong? And being really negative with my self-talk, and then kind of reworking that toward the end of the year and being like, it's okay, give yourself grace. I guess it's sort of like I morphed into the next one, but on to the next. Giving yourself grace. Yeah, I'm pretty bad about this sometimes. I think everybody's their own worst critic, honestly. I think it's easy to criticize what we're doing rather than being supportive or motivating or having that positive self-talk. So I've been really working on just giving myself a little bit of grace. Not every day is going to be your best day. Understand that that's okay. Your progress should be tracked over long periods of time, not the day-to-day, because the day-to-day fluctuates, but progress over long periods of time is where you want to look for your results. It's okay to have a bad day. Some days are not going to be great, but try to just do your best that day, commit to yourself for that day, and then tell yourself tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow is going to be better. Tomorrow's a new day. Every day is a new day. It'll be better. Also, one day off from the gym is not going to destroy your growth or your progress. I used to have a tendency where I would miss a gym session and then I would just stop going for a few days because I was like, well, I already missed one, so I might as well just start next week because this week is trash, which is not true, but that's how I thought. And now I'm like, okay, today I am not feeling it. Going to the gym is just going to be worse for my mental health than give myself a break today and then go back at it tomorrow. Before I was like, I have to be in the gym 5 days a week. If I'm not in the gym 5 days a week, I'm not going to see the progress I want to see. And then I would skip one day and then I would just not go. So then my missing one day ended up meaning me missing 3 or 4 days. And then that's way worse. Whereas if I had just given myself grace and not been hard on myself and just said, today's not the day, tomorrow will be better. And then proceeded to follow through the next day. Go to the gym, make better choices as far as food is concerned, I would have been much more successful. And that's what I started doing toward the end of 2022 and why it's one of the biggest things that I learned. And when you start going to the gym, it doesn't have to be every single day. You can still see progress and still get results if you go 2 or 3 times a week. Start small and then gradually increase rather than hitting the ground running and then burning out really fast. It doesn't have to be a grind every single week. You shouldn't dread it. And I was dreading it at the beginning of at the beginning of 2022, I would dread going. And now I look forward to going. And there's days where I just don't feel like it, but more often than not, every day I'm like, it's gym day. It's gym day. Let's make it happen. And I'd never regret going once I've completed a workout. Investing in your well-being should be a priority. Investing in yourself is important. Some people are willing to spend money in a lot of different areas that don't really benefit their well-being. And I was one of those people. I used to look for easy fixes, quick fixes. Some people are very frugal in areas of their life, and some people are not frugal in some areas of their life. Where your priorities lie is a key role in your fitness journey. Some people will spend hundreds of dollars a year on a gym membership and they never go. They have a gym membership, but they just don't go. There could be a lot of reasons behind that, but why spend that money if you're not going to be your best? For me, I was always tentative on spending money. I'm inherently a very frugal person. I do not like spending money. I like keeping as much savings as possible. For me, hiring a coach was what I needed to do. I didn't have enough knowledge and I wasn't able to hold myself accountable enough to make the gym a priority, make myself a priority. I was just too inconsistent. Toward the beginning of 2022, I sort of set my mind into a place of prioritizing myself. I need to do this. I need to be better for myself. And I started getting in the gym more. I started making better choices when it came to food. But then ultimately, I hired a coach, and that was pivotal for me. I have a whole video, I'll link it above, of why I hired a coach and why I think people should hire coaches. So go ahead and check that out if you're curious about my journey, and maybe a coach could be helpful for you too. As far as my goals were concerned, I knew that where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, I couldn't do it on my own because I wasn't able to. So I hired a coach and invested in myself and my well-being. And I've seen loads of progress that are only the beginning of where I want to end up. But I'm so much better off now because I got help and I invested in something that was really important to me. And it doesn't have to be a coach. You can hire a coach, you can hire a personal trainer, or you could just find something that is a good outlet for you, whether that's a yoga class once a week or some sort of fitness class. You can take a cycling class. There's so many other types of like workout classes. It doesn't have to be that you go to the gym and lift weights. While that's my choice and what I want to do, it doesn't have to be yours. And there could be so many other things. There's YouTube videos you could watch and do workouts at your house in the comfort of your own home with no workout like equipment needed. You don't have to expend any other money there, but your well-being, whatever that is for you, is important and it should be prioritized. Okay, listen, this one right here, the term toned. The term toned. I can't. I had an obsession with the term toned. Is obsession a little bit dramatic? Maybe it's like a little bit dramatic, but like I wanted to be toned because that's what everybody said. I want to be toned. I want to be toned. I want to whatever. Everybody's idea of what that looks like in their head is like a little bit different. But for me, I wanted to be toned. And toned to me meant that I wanted to see muscle definition and I wanted to be a lower body fat. But I didn't understand toned as a descriptive term. So when we're talking about the term toned, typically when people are saying that, what I was saying was that I wanted to see some muscle. I wanted to be a lower body fat. I wanted to feel good, look good in the mirror, like how I looked in pictures. And by doing that, I wanted to not see so much body fat and I wanted to see some muscle, but not too much muscle because I didn't want to look like a dude. Oh, the misinformation I had. Everybody says, oh, you just go into a calorie deficit, right? Run. Red flag. Run. Run all the time. Be in a calorie deficit all the time. You'll get there. Boom. Summer body. Summer body. All bodies are summer bodies, but that's another topic. Technically speaking, some of that is true, right? Being a lower body fat percentage does ensure that you will see more muscle definition if the muscle is there. If you don't have a decent amount of muscle mass underneath your body fat, skin, etc., by losing weight, by cutting your calories, you will just get smaller. You won't get toned. You won't see that result because there's nothing to lean down to. You have to build muscle first and then decrease your calories slowly over time to get to a point of being lean enough to see that muscle. To be toned, you have to go through phases of being in a calorie surplus and a calorie deficit. So in a calorie surplus, you have your maintenance, and then you have to be above that. What that is for every person is so different. So I'm not going to say specifically what it is, because for what it is for me, it's different than it is for you, then it's different than it is for the next person. When you are in a calorie surplus, that's when you're fueling your body. That's when you can gain muscle. That's when you are seeing the results as far as muscle progress is going and the muscle mass building. And that is a long process. It takes a long time to build muscle mass. So you need to be in a surplus for a decent amount of time to see that result. And then in turn, you can then slowly decrease your calories over a long length of time and go into a calorie deficit. And then for a few weeks, your body will lose that body fat. And then you will start to see the results of the muscle that you built over time. But you can't remain in that place because your metabolism can't handle that. So by being in a slight calorie deficit, you can lose some of that body fat. You'll see the muscle tone that you want, and then you need to go back into a maintenance phase and then eventually a surplus so that you can build more muscle. So it's all a cycle. You can't just exist in this perfect state of being. Like, we're humans, we're evolving all the time. You can't just be toned. It's just such a crazy term that's just thrown around. And muscle maturity takes a long time to achieve. It takes a lot of time in the gym, a lot of time working those muscles before you start to see the density that you would need for the toned look you were going for. So don't be hard on yourself. It's a long process, which is why you need to just enjoy the process. Pick something that you like doing. If you like lifting weights, if you like doing yoga, whatever you like doing, and stick with it, because quick fixes are not the way. You're not going to see the results that you want to see quickly. And if you do, it's probably not sustainable. So all these crash diets, a lot of marketing schemes, there's so much misinformation about how to lose this in 30 days or how to look like this and whatever. It's trash. Just throw it out. Get it out of here. It's not proper information, and it's not gonna serve you well. Time and consistency will. So when you're talking about the word tone, really think about what you want and what you're going for, and then how to achieve that. That's all I've got for today. So for 2022, I learned a lot. I learned so much, but I am better for it. And I'm curious what 2023 will bring and how much more I will learn about myself and about my fitness journey. So hopefully this was helpful for you. If it was, give me a like, comment down below. Did you have any of the misinformation that I had? And was this helpful for you? Let me know. See you in my next video. Bye.